right, hello everybody. It's here for some middle school magic. It's not just a terrible time of your life. It's actually a super awesome magic format. And we're in the semifinals of our Austin Middle School League. And I say Austin, but we've got people from out of state coming in here trying to, make Texas look bad. And I don't even know, are either of our players even from Texas in the semifinals in this
I,
match?
I don't think so. I
Andrew?
think we've only got one Texan in the top four, and I don't
Uh,
think either of these two guys are. But it's been fun
yeah.
getting to play with everybody from like around the country playing the format. So it's been a good time.
Yeah, in-person magic may be dead, but we do get to do stuff like this and meet people we might not have otherwise done. So that's really nice. We've got this is the semifinals. We had 6 rounds of Swiss. Really good turnout for this league, and we've got Steven with the lightning bolt playmat. He's playing mono blue control, isn't that right, Andrew?
Quite the opposite. I think he's packing all the pyroblasts in the sideboard in his fly deck.
Man, you missed an
uh,
opportunity to juke here. And we've got Connor with the playmat whose art I don't recognize, and he's playing an extremely sweet Abzan Rector Oath enchantment form of the dragon deck because yes, of course, those are all cards you'd put in the deck together.
yeah, this deck is definitely the spiciest deck that made the top eight, and he's in top four. And really, it's like a bunch of crazy ways to get a form of the dragon in play. Like basically, he can oath into Rector, or he can just play a Rector, and his end game is become a dragon and shoot his opponent.
Yeah, so we'll talk about magic cards that I love because I've on one of my earlier commentations, I talked about how I love Moat. I loved how, I thought creatures are for losers and Moat made creatures stay home. And so Form of the Dragon is like a super Moat because your Moat says non-flying creatures can attack, but Form of the Dragon says your opponent's non-flying creatures can attack, but yours still can. And then during your upkeep, your life total goes to 5 and you deal 5 to any target. And I think this card is like both technically cool because it makes creatures bad and thematically cool because you're like turning into a dragon and like living your dreams as Sarkhan and flying around and burninating the countryside. Speaking of burninating the countryside, we've got Grim Lavamancer has entered the building.
Yeah, so Form of the Dragon seems a little bit scary when your opponent's deck is full of lightning bolts and fire blasts and volcanic hammers because it does take you to 5 life immediately.
Yeah, that's a little dodgy. And like you couldn't. There was a time you couldn't even play Form of the Dragon like in Legacy because your opponent would attack you with Delver and activate their Deathrite Shaman or something awkward like that. So you do all this work to get this Form of the Dragon to play and have it backfire. So yeah, we have some concerns about this matchup from the perspective of the Oath Rector deck. It's kind of a slow, dirtly deck that is trying, and part of its combo is getting Form of the Dragon out. Doesn't really line up very well against a bunch of lightning bolts. So we're worried about the game one that the Rector Oath deck could bring. And leading on Reflecting Pool.
Yeah,
all right.
pretty rough.
Yeah, feels
That
bad,
land
man.
didn't produce mana anyway, so that
Yeah.
wasteland jokes on the Sly player for wasting it.
Yeah, well, you just got to send a message. I'm not sure if either player mulliganed, but it doesn't matter. As the mono red player, you're on the play, you're beating down your opponent. Any land. This is the dream. Like this is what you sign up for when you're playing slot.
Yeah, and I think having creatures in play is always a scary thing when your opponent's playing Oath. But actually, both of the Sly players' creatures have the ability to kill themselves if it comes to that. So
Yeah. Or you can just like use the mug to kill the Lavamancer and activate the Lavamancer to shoot the player. So,
right,
and
yeah.
this is an old thing. Like back when Oath of Druids was a deal, like being able to like the card Ball Lightning was a big deal. And like there's also a Vishnu Sandstalker, which was a creature that showed up with haste, attacked, and then end of your turn went back into your hand. So you just like wouldn't trigger the Oath. So mono red is an aggressive deck that is uniquely well set up to not get punked out by this Oath of Druids.
Is this a funeral pyre on the combat step to make a 1/1?
Yeah, well, I go look that one up because that was like I did not recognize that art in the in the thing. Funeral Pyre. Exile target card from a graveyard. Its owner creates a 1/1 white spirit token with flying. Oh, okay. So this Funeral Pyre is here, so he can target the other player's graveyard, give them the spirit, and then trigger his oath. So even if your opponent's on a no creature deck, you can use this Funeral Pyre.
Yeah, I mean, given what happened there, like given that the Mog Fanatic's in the graveyard, I get the impression that he targeted his own graveyard to make a 1/1 blocker, and he threw the Mog Fanatic at it to preserve his Lavamancer.
But this is this is some sweet technology here, because later on Forbidden Orchard got printed, and it was just a free roll to like give your opponent a bunch of creatures and trigger your oath. But here you gotta jump through a few more hoops.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times you just play Oath and just hope your opponent plays creatures.
Oh man, another wasteland.
Oh, wow, second wasteland.
Keeping an odd message here. Your lands, that's not allowed. Like,
yeah, but I'm pretty clear he probably doesn't have an Oath. He had 2 mana there, an opportunity to deploy the Oath, and chose not to. So. Yeah, and I think we thought this matchup would be really hard for the Oath deck game 1, and I think you're seeing that on the
yeah. I mean, right now we're almost at like the flawless victory stage of the game, so we need Oath to step it up a little, and maybe play some permanents. That's usually in Magic, you need permanents to win games. What are we doing here? We're gonna therapy.
Ooh. Taking pain.
Yeah. We talked about this a lot. So in this format, like there's only allied fetch lands. There's no shock lands that you can go get. So the mana bases in this format are a little tenuous, and you have to use like these pain lands to kind of sew it together, which really does help the mono red deck out. Oh man, whoa,
that's aggressive.
Yeah, just does not care. Sending a message. The message is taste. Feel the burn. Have you been working out? A lot of burn.
It looks like his opponent's at 7 now. So I'm assuming there's another mountain in that hand.
Yeah.
Through those Fire Blasts.
But I mean, that's the thing you name with the therapy is Fire Blast. So I think that's, if assuming there's a mountain in hand, this is the right call from the red player. You just, nug them for 4. And now they have to name like any number of cards that are basically interchangeable, Incinerate, Volcanic Hammer, whatever. Those are the same card,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it feels like you probably, it's hard to know what's in hand. Like it feels like it's got to be a land, and then
a land and then like a bolt. Okay, no, so we definitely can cast Fire Blast. Like we don't have anything going on. We've got the Grim Lavamancer. That's all we need. All right, and he's showing some real style with the. Was this unglued or unhinged? Which was the first unset?
So it was unglued. Those were the unglued lands.
Yeah.
I think Gerard's Verdict is going to give him some life back.
Woo! Yeah, we know he's got a mountain in hand. Yeah, this is a real deal. So we're going to gain 3 life and discard like a lightning bolt effect. So it's like gain 6 life.
Yeah, that was a really big Gerard's Verdict. He'll buy him a little time here.
That was a big game.
Yeah,
and the reflecting
weird to see Gerard's Verdict in this format because Hymn to Torek is legal, but this is the upside of Verdict, is that it is pretty good against Fly compared to him.
Yeah. Also, I just think that the Oath deck play him reliably with its mana base.
Double black is probably pretty rough. Yeah. The slide deck does have Price of Progress in the sideboard, which is pretty big game.
Whoa. That was not on my radar. Ancient Tomb, that's a land we want to play against mono red. But we have the setup. If we find a Rector, we can flashback to therapy and go get. Well, Form of the Dragon seems pretty crappy, but maybe that's still our best bet.
Yeah, you might get Form of the Dragon and you just kill the Lavamancer, and so that your opponent has to draw 2 burn spells. And
and also like without a Fire Blast, like the red deck needs, I think, 3 mana to deal 5 damage in 1 turn through spells. So yeah, you form, hope they don't have the way to kill the Lavamancer, and then start going upstairs and just hope that works. Oh man. The Lavamancer is in the red zone. Come on.
Yeah, so this must mean Incinerator, Volcanic Hammer, right? If he's attacking.
Man, maybe it means getting blown out by a funeral pyre. I mean, that's what I think it means. No,
Could be.
Didn't happen. All right, but here's the red plan. Your opponent's not doing much. You're poking him out. Tapping the Ancient Tomb is risky business.
Yeah, tap it now, even if you're going to go back up to 5. If it's an Incinerating hand, you're
all right. Duress. Well, whatever the red player has, we're going to find out right now because it's being put onto the stack. Yeah.
There's the Incinerate.
Oh no. Yeah.
Like pretty much the only card it could have been to attack and then pass.
Yeah. So yeah, we're dead. All right. Well, we kind of thought that was going to happen. The Oath deck was, vulnerable to Wastelands, and its game plan wasn't, even the enchantments it could get didn't look like they would, be game-breakingly powerful. But that's going to change. So let's take a look at what the Oath deck has in the sideboard, because I think it's really going to flip-flop the matchup to make it a lot more competitive. Let me pull that up. So I'm looking in this sideboard. I'm seeing some real winners. We've got Warmth. Whenever someone plays a red spell, gain 2 life. Ivory Mask. You can't be the target of spells or abilities. Cop Red. Classic. And we've got some Enlightened Tutors to make sure we find these cards reliably.
Right.
So any one of these cards is pretty game breaking against mono red. So
yeah, he's basically got every white enchantment that is really good against Sly. He's got 1 copy of each, and he's got 1 Enlightened Tutor in the main and 4 Sterling Groves, and he's got 2 more Enlightened Tutors for his sideboard package.
All right.
So
and the Rectors can go get them as well. So he definitely has things to be doing here. These cards are really powerful. Let's go take a look at mono red and see what mono red is going to be bringing in.
Yeah, so mono red doesn't have much that's exciting. He's got some Pyroblast, some Overloads. Those aren't doing anything in this matchup. But he does have 3 Price of Progresses, which is pretty big game. I don't know how closely you looked at the mana base in that deck list that was up a second ago, but it's pretty much all non-basic lands. He's got a 3-color deck.
It's important to note that Price of Progress also doesn't target, so it gets through the Ivory Mask. The Cop Red still beats it, but that is an important thing to note. Also, I'm seeing here that there's a singleton copy of Anarchy. This is open deck list in the top 8, so he knows that the hate cards are white enchantments. Just because you're kind of colder to them, I think you might just bring the Anarchy in. And then you could possibly bring in 1 more Sulfuric Vortex. I'm not seeing a lot of life gain, so I don't know about that. And then cards to take out, whatever.
I think you got to take out your Jackal Pups just because you don't want to just play into the Oath.
Yeah, maybe Jackal Pup's no good. It's also embarrassing if your opponent does Form of the Dragon. They can 5 the Jackal Pup and then 5 you or something. That's not really mega relevant because the pup can't attack if Form of the Dragon is in play. Maybe these Price of Progresses are just strictly better than Volcanic Hammer, which I'm kind of thinking they might be.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Curse Scroll is not the most exciting in this matchup, but it does get around COP red, and so I think you have to probably leave all 4 in there for that reason.
Yeah, that's a little rough because let's say there is a Cop Red. Oh, but never mind. There's Warmth. Okay, because of Warmth, you have to play Curse. But it sucks. The problem is you still have to play the red spells out of your hand to make the Curse Scroll work and give your opponent the safe. And same with Cop Red. You play the red spells, how get countered, stopped by Cop Red, and then you can start doing the Curse Scroll. Maybe Curse Scroll is too slow. I'm curious to see where we go with this. But the important thing to know as mono red, anytime you play an aggressive deck, is you don't want to change your deck too much and have it be non-functional. So his core game plan of curving out with dudes and wastelanding the mana base, that's a pretty good plan. No matter what. So all right, and then here we go.
He does have 2 Tormod's Crypts as well, which you could bring in, but I don't think that's what you want to be doing as a Sly deck, because the Tormod's Crypt does stop an Academy Rector.
Yeah, Academy Rector is worded in this strange way for those who don't know. It goes to the graveyard, and then it creates a trigger where it has to exile itself, and then when it successfully exiles itself, it goes and gets the enchantment. But if you exile it some other way, like with Tormod's Crypt, you can fizzle this ability, which is not actually intuitive and had to be explained to me. So, if you figured it out, you're smarter than me, because I didn't figure that out. I was like, why are they doing that?
I actually played a game recently where there was a planar void and a Academy Rector, and it depends on whose turn it is on which the Academy Rector dies.
Yeah,
2 triggers go on the stack.
So, all right. So the mono red deck has no 1-drop. So as the Oath deck, I'm already breathing a sigh of relief. Yes, Warmth. Okay, just had it.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so the game is about to get
a good start.
Yeah. This is the big ouch if you're mono red. You just don't want to see this sort of card. Yeah, all right. Recently response, Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
And then after that, Lightning Bolt will be, 1 red, target player takes like 1 damage or something awful like that.
Right. Yeah. So here's where Vortex is good. It does stop Warmth.
Oh, yeah. Vortex is pretty good. And Vortex also gets around Ivory Mask because it doesn't target. But all right, well, Wasteland, sure.
we'll just slow this game plan down.
Curse Scroll, okay.
That's a colorless card.
It's true, but he is like, he needs to play 2 more lands and get a bunch of red spells out of his hand. So it'll be a while before this Curse Scroll is like doing anything, I think. Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the problems with mono red, is that the enchantments against it are so good, and it has no way to deal with enchantments.
Yeah, if people want to beat your deck, they definitely can. There are a lot of hateful enchantments. There's also Chill in this format. That those cards are just like really hard for the mono red deck to beat. And there's Hydroblast if you want. You can just like, counter things. And Gerard's Verdict. Okay, so playing Gerard's Verdict when there's a Curse Scroll on the table is actually kind of funny, because you're racing them towards being able to get the Curse Scroll online. But I still think you should do it here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think probably the scariest card for his opponent to have here is Sulfuric Vortex, because it essentially turns off his Warmth and deals him 2 a turn.
All right, Gow, woof. Yeah.
Ball Lightning is an interesting discard, because that actually does deal some amount of damage over the Warmth.
So I might have been inclined to keep that around. I don't know how many lands you've got. We've seen here that a City of Brass has been discarded and 1 is in play. The mana bases in this format are pretty sketchy. So if you're playing 3 colors, like City of Brass and like Mox Diamond are like your best cards, because it's just so hard to get your mana online in this format sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, I mean, I think like the bad mana is a feature of this format, and because you can't just play like whatever 3-color good stuff.
Right? Yeah, you can't.
Pairs.
You can't like good stuff soup your way out of the format, which is a pretty like, I appreciate that in modern Magic they have like good dual lands, but on the flip side it makes it to where like everybody just plays Siege Rhino, like, hey, I'm playing mono blue control with Siege Rhino because like we have this fetch dual shockland mana base in standard for some goofy reason. So yeah, it's important to have mana bases act as a constraint on deck building. I think it makes for more interesting formats where all right, Price of Progress.
Yeah, that's casting Price of Progress deal 2 isn't the most exciting, but
yeah, but you're kind of finesse because you want to get cards out of your hand so you can get the Curse Scroll on. I think is the thinking.
Yeah, looks like he doesn't have a 3rd land also, which is probably why the Ball Lightning hit the bin.
Okay, yeah, if you don't have the 3rd land, then Ball Lightning can just hit the bricks. Because your land's like going to be tied up by the Curse Scroll as well. So the question is, like, we've got this Rector. Can we kill the Rector? Well, we need, Cabal Therapy or Phyrexian Tower. And if we do, what do we go get? Like,
I think you probably just try to lock up the game. Like, do you just go get Ivory Mask, or do you just try to end the game with Form?
With the Warmth in play, I'm actually thinking that you could just go get Form of the Dragon, because it's really hard for them to deal 5 damage when the red spells like all deal 1 damage,
Right.
So I would be inclined to do that. All right. So this is one of those funny things. Like when you're playing against mono red and they start missing land drops, you just start freaking out because you know their hand is just like ungodly powerful. But he's got the sweet hate card Warmth, so it's not as big a deal. But
Right.
that's been a thing in a lot of burn matchups. It's like, oh, my burn opponent isn't playing lands. Well, then we know what's in his hand. It's all lightning bolts and lava spikes. So you just count how many turns you have left to die.
Yeah, I mean, he is a 10. I mean, despite this warp coming down on turn 2, so he's taking some damage.
Yeah, mostly from his own treacherous City of Brasses.
That's true. Yeah.
Having the triple City of Brass hand against mono red is like not what's hot.
Right.
All right, so yeah, we're resolving Enlightened Tutor. I'm pretty sure the answer in this case is Ivory Mask. Or okay, Cop Red. Cop Red will help us fight Sulfuric Vortex. The modern player hasn't been playing spells. It's distinctly possible Sulfuric Vortex should be there, which is a way to get out of Warmth. So,
true, yeah.
all right. I see Cop Red. Because if you get Ivory Mask and play it, and then they play Vortex, you're actually just dead.
Yeah, I was actually looking to see if he had any enchantments he could tutor that kill his own Rector, and I don't think he does. Like he could play like a Seal of Doom. Is that in this format?
It is, but I guess he could Seal of Doom. But I don't think that's in the list. All right, so here's the third land. So do we have the Sulfuric Vortex, which is still kind of chancy because you Sulfuric Vortex and then like you die to your own Sulfuric Vortex as your opponent just uses Cop Red, which is something that totally happened in the last league in a game that I played.
Yeah, it's I guess like his big game card here is Anarchy if he happens to have that, which costs 4 mana. Yeah. Like that's the only way out of this, but he gets to trigger his opponent's Rector when he does that.
Yeah, this is
doesn't look good for Sly. But.
No, and this is what we thought. We thought that these sideboard cards would be very impactful. They are. Reflecting Pool, yay! City Brass that doesn't damage us. So this is great.
But now Price of Progress can deal more damage, of course.
We'll just prevent that with Cop Red. Like right now when you have Cop Red, all you want to do is just draw a bunch of lands and you just like can't get got.
Yeah, Rector's only 18 turns away from winning this game.
We're activating Curse Scroll. It's time to go on manual.
I mean, this is how he probably wins this game, right?
Yeah. We just got to get lucky with Curse Scroll because playing red spells like gives our opponent life and does nothing. So, we've got to believe that Connor's smart enough to not just like tap all his mana during his main phase for no reason. So, yeah, it's just Curse Scroll or bust, really.
Yeah, and it looks like he missed. I didn't hear what he named, but he revealed a Fire Blast.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything. He really needs to draw lands here so he can just like empty his hand, I think.
Right. All right. Rumbling in.
Yeah, 17 more turns.
The little squire that could. Oh, okay. All right. Pop quiz in the chat. What is the best squire in Magic? And by squire, I mean a creature whose base power and toughness is 1/2. Pop quiz, guys. And feel free to throw in some justification. Best squire.
I mean, I'm not upset by the one on the battlefield.
Yeah, that one's pretty sweet.
Pretty good.
I like Academy Rector. It's a good Magic card.
Yeah, I think Deathrite Shaman in the chat. That's cheating. No one's banned.
Deathrite Shaman. I'll start signing up like there's Stoneforge Mystic.
A throwback.
A Tog, Psychotog. And of course, like the best card in Modern right now is Monastery Swiftspear. That may change soon, but Monastery Swiftspear is like, a 1/2 printed on the card, but it's never a 1/2 like in the attack step. It's always a 4/5, so Magic's got some sweet stuff going on. But yeah, the chat's probably right. It's probably Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah.
Deathrite Shaman is just bananas. Banned in every format, All right. We're casting some lightning bolts. What is happening?
Giving your opponent 2 life to make your curse scroll better. I guess.
All right, I think this is like the chalice check. Like we're casting these cards to see if our opponent remembers how their own cards work. You know,
Right.
You just confidently like put the bolt onto the stack. You're like bolt you. You know, it's like see if they're like, oh, I've got the chalice of the void. You know, like sometimes you get to that phase of the game. You just like start moving through, and you're like, you know, just put these spells on the stack and let the spells fall where they may.
Right.
Well, it turns out Connor remembered that he both had Cop Red and Warmth. So Bolt basically read, discard a card, your opponent gains 2 life.
Right.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So Steve has admitted that he's just drawing to his Anarchy at this point or something, and that he has no outs other than that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and Anarchy is a weird draw you talked about, because it will kill this Rector, which will go get something.
Yeah, so then the Rector would probably go. I mean, at this point, then the Rector would have to go get Ivory Mask.
Probably,
yeah. But there's like is it 12? We know there's a Price of Progress in hand. Well, we know there's a Ball Lightning. So yeah, like Ivory Mask is not like a hard luck at all.
That's true. Yeah, the Price of Progress and Ball Lightning. That's a lot of damage represented if he does have the Anarchy.
All right. In the meantime, you know, speaking of Squires, we're on the Squire beatdown.
Right.
Going for it with Academy Rector. You know, just throw out my sad story. I had a foil Academy Rector once, but then I traded it away. So, and now because that card's on the reserve list, it's worth like unlimited money or some garbage like that. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm assuming this game will end quickly once he finds a way to get rid of this Rector.
Right. Like, all right, he's casting spells. He's casting Sterling Grove.
Right.
So we can tutor something up.
Yeah, I don't even know what he would want.
Holy rusted metal! My foil Academy Rector would be like $800. Shouldn't have checked. I let it go for way less than that.
Yeah, so I got really excited about this format like right before GP Austin and traded in a whole bunch of stuff at GP Austin, and like that was, you know, accidentally the best Magic financial decision I ever made.
Yeah. All right, Sterling. So sacking the Sterling Grove. What do we need to get? Like, I feel like we don't get Ivory Mask just because we know our opponent's out is Anarchy. So right. what are we doing here? Like, and we're not on the hardcast form of the Dragon plan. That's a bad plan. Let's take a guess.
Yeah, nothing in here excites me.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling any of these. Like,
I mean, he could go get a Seal of Cleansing. What is that? Oh, that's the Ivory Mask.
Oh, no. It's like Karmic Justice or something. Null Bruce. There's this card where each player names a card, and then that card can't be played. And so he'll name Anarchy, and then the game will be over. Even though the red player gets to name a card in Connor's deck, it doesn't matter because the Rector's in play. Like, so yeah.
Wait, what is this card called?
It's this weird 4-mana enchantment, and each player names a card, and then that card can't be played. So the Oath player will name Anarchy, and then the red card player will play some other card, and it won't matter because Anarchy can't be played, and then there's just like no outs, you know?
Wow, I've never heard of this card.
Yeah, it's really weird. It costs 4 mana. I can't read it because it's like so small in the thing. Yeah, I can't read it.
Chat. Oh, Null Chamber?
Is that Null Chamber. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the missing piece. Okay, so now we're just gonna put it in the hard lock, and then like 17 turns, 14 turns, the little Squire that could is gonna like seal the deal. Because all right.
Yeah, all right. Now he's gonna scoop it up.
We don't want to play anymore. You know, the Null Chamber, you know, what does it do? It does nothing. And by nothing, we mean the game is over. So,
well, that is a card that I did not know existed and is pretty interesting.
Yeah, if four mana is too much, but I've definitely had it played. Like, it was a card you'd bring in against like combo decks. You'd be like, High Tide can't be played. And then the High Tide player named something, but you're playing aggro. So all your cards, like, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, null chamber. That's a classic. Like nowadays, it's all just like your opponent can't do something, but,
Right.
but back in the day, it had these weird symmetrical effects. Back in my day, Sonny.
Yeah. Well, Sly's on the play now, so I mean that's better for him, but it's still going to be hard to beat a turn 2 warmth.
Yeah. Like if we have Enlightened Tutor into warmth, it's rough times. Like we're gonna need some Jackal pups like already in the red zone or something.
Yeah. Well, and I think a great hand is like a 1-drop into a wasteland so that he can keep his opponent from playing the warmth on turn 2 if he does tutor for it. But
Right. If they tutor off of not planes, you can wasteland and then have like another turn, where things. I mean, wouldn't Mono Red want things to warm up? Well, I mean, isn't that the burn player? We're helping out, guys. We're in the sitting in the sauna. Just thanks for the lightning bolts. It's what we need to ease our aching joints. But I guess Mono Red just isn't feeling that.
yeah, it's kind of weird that in the same set there was warmth and chill, and both of them were red hate cards.
Yeah, you definitely think warmth would be like the red proactive card, like all red spells deal 3 extra damage or something.
Right. Yeah.
Which that in that same set was Furnace of Wrath, which was kind of like that. Oof.
Right.
Furnace of Wrath led to some very exciting fast games. Usually you play the Furnace of Wrath because it costs 4 mana, and then you would die to your own Furnace of Wrath.
Right.
Because your opponent would get to attack and just kill you.
Yeah. It's definitely a card that like I remember like playing when I was in middle school and like backfiring. But
all right, so here we are, Curse Scrolls. So we've planes. I smell Enlightened Tutor. like there's something going on. Yeah, like
can't wasteland that.
At your instep, I might have some effects. Yep, he's reaching for the mana. All right. Well, I can tell you now that despite now the knowing what Null Chamber does, which nobody, including I believe Steven, knew what that card was. There was nothing that Steven can do to like sideboard to change the game at all.
Right.
So we're just, gonna. All right. So going for the Cop Red. I actually think that Warmth is better early in the game because it doesn't require mana to activate.
Right. So he's going to cast it here. He's going to probably take 6 before he can activate it. I'm assuming that he's got some lightning bolts or incinerate.
Yeah, I think I might have been inclined to go for Warmth early in the game.
He has Warmth.
Yeah. I was basically thinking it's like the only reason this play makes sense is if Warmth is in your hand. I was getting to that, especially because there's no creatures in play. If the modern player had like some dudes running around, then you'd get Cop Red because they don't have to play any more spells. But since so anyway, we're already on the Pillow Fort plan. We're just putting the hurting on Mono Red, which feels good.
Spirit Vortex here, that would be helpful.
Although it might kill him with the COP out.
Red.
Yeah, like you play Cop Red and then your opponent is shocking themselves every turn. Which is fine, So, this is what happens when you play Mono Red is, if your opponent shows up with some enchantment hate, they're ready to get you. So, yeah, this is interesting because Andrew and I were concerned about the Oath deck in this matchup, but these sideboard cards, including the one that we didn't read, turned out to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, game 1 I think is like nigh unwinnable for this Oath deck, but these sideboard cards, he's got just 1 of each, but he's got 3 Enlightened Tutors and 4 Sterling Groves and 4 Rectors to go find them. And
all right, we're tapping 3. Do we have Vortex? Impactful. What are we doing here? All right, this is part of the solution. The red deck is getting the Vortex in play. I wonder if there's like a seal of cleansing running around in the just because like Curse Scroll and Vortex are actually like the 2 I think possibly best cards against you as the Oath deck.
Right.
So it might be worth it to have a seal of cleansing in your sideboard.
Yeah, right, he actually has one in the main deck.
Or to leave that in is my point. Like,
right. Yeah.
All right. So, but it still doesn't matter because we've like got this Cop Red. So Mono Red's kind of got his work cut out for it.
Actually, wouldn't be surprised if he just boarded out the Oaths for all this stuff.
It's possible. Yeah. Like, cause the mono red. Okay, so there are still creatures. You can't gain any life. That's beat. Yeah. So Grim. So we have to play some more spells. Note the Grim Lawmaster does not have any food as a present.
He's got 2 cards in hand, so probably going to be activating Curse Scroll.
Yeah. Just make your land drops. Activate Cop Red. You don't really. There's not a lot of rocket science to your position as the Oath player. You don't want to like lower shields or anything. The Curse Scroll could be a problem eventually. Like it's like a weird race. Will the Vortex outrace the Curse Scroll? Yeah, in general, I would think that the mono red player is going to kill themselves first, given this board state as it stands right now.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if the Oath player doesn't draw any more lands, like, maybe he can tax that a little bit. But
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, I think that
well,
this
he's
is
got
worth.
a window to deal damage here, though.
He did, but like as soon as it's time to, as soon as this red spell gets put on the stack, you Silo cleansing the Vortex. All right, so now it's time for the red player to play. If they have any burn spells, they play them right now, all of them. Empty your whole hand.
Yeah,
Oh
it looks like he's gonna probably Fire Blast here. He's probably gonna activate the scroll and Fire Blast. Oh no, he hit the scroll.
Scroll, not the Vortex. Okay, huh.
Well, I mean, maybe he's just assuming that he can kill his opponent with his own Vortex.
That's true. I think I would have been inclined to hit the Vortex because it's just, but maybe it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you keep making land drops, then
he did miss his land drop last turn.
He did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have got rid of the Vortex because now. But I mean, after we untap, then theoretically we're just like never taking damage again, assuming we just keep making our land drops.
Right.
So maybe this will just work out. His win condition is Sulfuric Vortex,
Like he's got a Fire Blast. He's about to sack this mountain.
Yeah, I mean, like this is it. Like all your chips. Anything we don't spend right now is getting repossessed by the IRS. So we should definitely.
I mean, but like he might be thinking like maybe Fire Blast doesn't win me this game, but if I draw Anarchy, that's like my only way to win. And if he doesn't have 4 mana, it doesn't work.
I don't know. Like given that the Oath player missed a land drop, I'm kind of inclined to shove.
Yeah. You do have basically 2 sources of damage every turn. That have to be prevented.
Yeah, I'm inclined. That would be my inclination because I just feel like these cards just like are never doing anything again. And if you're out as Anarchy and you don't have the Anarchy in your hand, which we clearly do not, by the time we draw the Anarchy, we'll have drawn those other lands that we need. Also, like if we move all in right now and we draw like some running wastelands, we can get out of this situation. Yeah, I would sacrifice all of my permanents right now to deal like 8 damage or something. And not the Vortex, but like everything else can go.
Looks like they're discussing something. But...
Yeah. I mean, dude, what if his hand literally is double Fire Blast? Like it's just like, yeah, I don't need these. Whoa,
that's what's happening.
Whoa, love it.
The screen is lagging a little bit for me, so yeah, double Fire Blast. All right, 8 to the dome.
Yeah, that is big game. Okay, so Mono Red's moved all in. Now Mono Red just wants to draw like wastelands or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
how do you get this last 4 damage in?
It's rough, but you have 8 turns to figure it out. I think. All right. Yes, this is part of the solution right here. Now we can wasteland probably the green black land to make the reflecting pool garbage. Like this is how you get it done. Well, we got the pool. Okay. Well, maybe if our opponent damages themselves, I mean, yeah, maybe our secret win condition is our opponent will damage themselves with pain lands and draw only cities of brass.
Right.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't like he's got to draw pretty good, and his opponent needs to draw pretty bad, like just not drawing any more lands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like that's just what we signed up for. You know, we're playing mono red and our opponent played like copper red and warmth. Then the games we're already, as Matt Sperling would say, we're like already in like garbage time magic. So you know, we're just praying. You know, praying things work out in the next 6 turns.
Yeah, Pink Fly's at 10. So
Yeah. So all right. Now we're like just taking game actions. Everything's on the board. We don't need any more spells. Woo, we'll play a land. Yep. Yeah, attack with my 1/1. Attack with my 1. Yep. Yep. Everyone's be very clear with announcing their triggers. No shortcuts here. You got to announce it. All right. All right. All right. That's part. Needed that earlier.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure 3 turns is enough to draw lands and spells to make this work. But
no.
Like Mountain with 2 bolts in hand. Does that do it?
We needed. I think we're just dead. You know? All right,
that's not good.
Yeah, we need strip mine so we can strip mine this place. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any out here at this point.
There's no outs. Yeah. So funny story. In the previous league or 2 leagues back, I played Cop Red. My mono red opponent was not losing to Cop Red. He had 4 flaring pains in his sideboard, and I died. I died horribly.
Yeah. Flaring pain is not like the worst in mono red. But
it's only good against Cop Red. Like a lot of the other hate cards, like Warmth and Chill, for example, flaring pain is just like gonna have no text. But against Cop Red, you know, if you just want to beat Cop Red, then that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes Oath decks play like Moments Piece, beats that sort of.
All right, that's
All
it.
Right, that's good.
The mono red player does deal lethal damage to themselves.
Right.
Live by the vortex, die by the vortex.
Yeah.
All right. So that's pretty interesting. That's yeah, that's the Oath player is saying that they had a clear plan. That basically they weren't going to keep hands that didn't have hate cards or Enlightened Tutor like already in them. Like,
right,
and I think that's reasonable. Like these cards are so impactful. You know, the mono red deck just like can't. I'm supposed to mute that. Can't function with those cards in play, so that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, there's a lot of pre-modern mono red decks that will splash green off of 4 Carplusion Forests and 4 green red fetches, just so that they can play Natural Life in the sideboard, so that they can beat hate cards.
Yeah, I've seen that. Obviously, that was like a lot sweeter to do when you have like Stomping Ground or Taiga, so you can play Curd Ape.
Right.
But
yeah.
we don't get to play those sorts of cards in this format. So, and you can't play like a basic forest and a bunch of like wooded foothills because basic forest does not work with Fire Blast or Ball Lightning. So...
Right. Yeah, I think you board in a basic forest if that's your plan. Like it comes in with a naturalizes.
And that's reasonable. Okay, so that was a pretty good game. We learned something here today. We learned what Null Chamber did, which was something that, you know, maybe we should have learned before the stream, but here we are now. And we're gonna have our next match coming up, you know, in a little bit. In the meantime, you're the hosts. We've prepared some exciting topics for the chat. So we're gonna take a little stroll down memory lane, because that's the beauty of middle school. We get to play all these sweet old cards, and to that effect, I'm gonna talk about some of my memory lane here. I'm just gonna throw this out here in the chat. This tasty morsel, as it were. This is the deck where I first top 8'd a PTQ. And this deck is very simple. It's very straightforward. And this is one of my favorite formats, which doesn't exist anymore. Just like middle school doesn't really exist right now. A format called Extended, which was a rotating format that used the most recent, like 7 sets or something, like 7 years worth of sets or something. I don't know. And in fact, that's why they got rid of it. Nobody knew it was in the format. Kind of like Historic. But this was a blue-black Reanimator deck. And like the best creature you could get was a Chroma Angel of Wrath. Nowadays we have Gristlebrand and was it Emrakul and God knows what else. But here it was just a straightforward 6/6 trample flying haste pro-red pro-black creature. That was good enough in my day. And yeah. I really enjoyed this.
This format is almost extended from 2003, I think. So I think the deck you just shared, the Reanimator deck, is probably a year after the extended that is closest to this format.
Right. But sadly, like a whole bunch of cards in this deck aren't legal in middle school. Brainstorm is not legal. Chrome Mox is not legal, and Vampiric Tutor I do not believe is legal. So I'm gonna mention something about the extended format. So in this extended format, Vampiric Tutor was legal as a 4 of. Gush was legal as a 4 of. Mind's Desire was legal as a 4 of. And people were attacking with Jackal Pups. So this format was real goofy. Like, okay, so our producer's telling us that they think my deck is really good, and it's so good that I have to leave the chat, and we'll come back with the next match. Hello, hello. All right, we're ready for our next semifinals match here in the middle school league. We've got Lorian with the Mirror Universe playmat. He won our last league playing Black Red Goblins, but today he's brought us something a little different. What do we have for the people here, Andrew?
Yeah, so he's playing Blue-Black Stifle Naught. So he's got 4 Stifles, 4 Vision Charms, 4 Dreadnoughts, and that is the plan. The rest of his deck is basically ways to, he's playing blue and black, and it's just ways to assemble that and protect it. He's got Force of Will, Duress, Gush, and so he is just, his plan is make a 12-12 and kill his opponent as quickly as possible.
Hey, I'm seeing we were talking about Vampiric Tutor earlier during our walk down memory lane. I'm seeing a really sweet blue-black tutor here in this Stifle Knot list. Why don't you tell the people what that card's about?
Yeah, so Limdol's Vault is the replacement probably for Vampiric Tutor. It does cost 2, it costs blue and black, but it is the most complicated of all of the put on top of your library tutors. It looks at the top 5, and if you don't like them, you can pay a life and put them on the bottom and then look at the next 5. And you can do that any number of times until you find a 5 that you like, and then you get to put them on top of your deck however you like. So it is basically a Vampiric Tutor, but you can do pretty interesting things with it, where you can stack, you get to stack 5 cards, and so sometimes you can do really exciting things like cast it and then put a Gush on top and then draw both cards that you need to kill the next turn.
Wow. Love it. Gush, Vampiric Tutor, sweet combos, Force of Will. Lorian really brings some excellent decks here. It's interesting that he decided, he's also got Duress. Whoa. In our 2 leagues back, we had a blue-white deck that was Dreadnought, but Lorian's decided to go blue-black. So and both of those decks did really well. So maybe Dreadnought is just like underexplored, and we should all be making 12-12s.
Dreadnought's definitely got to be one of the best decks in this format. It's already like it's got to be the best Force of Will deck in my opinion, because it's already playing a ton of blue cards, and it's got a very powerful game plan that it can protect for free with Force of Will.
Yeah. On the other side, we've got Aaron. Aaron's like this is actually like the battle of opposites almost. Lauren's got this blue-black combo deck. Aaron's like blue, black. Those are for losers. He's bringing red-green aggro with a splash of black for some mesmeric fiends and some sweet sideboard cards.
And Cabal Therapies.
Yeah, and Cabal Therapy. Anytime you're playing a deck with creatures, Cabal Therapy is just the greatest. Lorian showed us all that when he played Goblins with Cabal Therapy last league. So
yeah, I think last league, we had something like 15 copies of Cabal Therapy in the top 4. And not quite so Cabal Therapy heavy this time, but Cabal Therapy and Force of Will, I think, are like the 2 ways that you keep yourself from dying to the degenerate stuff. So
yeah. So Aaron's deck has got some sweet cards. So you're going to notice as we play that creatures in this format like aren't very good compared to modern creatures. Like they just aren't. Creatures today, the power creep has been pretty crazy. But Aaron's deck has Rancor, which basically makes your creatures catch up to modern creatures. And it has Sylvan Library, which is this goofy green card that in this matchup, you'll probably just palm a bunch of extra cards because you're either taking, 12 damage and dying or you're, it's not like a nickel and dime type of game. Yeah, the Sylvan Library really ties Aaron's deck together, I think.
Yeah, and Aaron is playing a fair deck with Mox Diamonds, which you don't see a lot of in this format. But I think his trade-off here is he's playing a bunch of lands that can be spells along with these Mox Diamonds, and also he needs the Mox Diamonds to tie his 3-color mana base together.
Right. Is it worth it to splash black for these therapies and mesmeric fiends? Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Yeah, in this matchup, I think 100%. If he didn't have black, he would, I think, have no chance in this matchup.
All right, so we don't know what got named, sadly, or at least I have Aaron on mute. So
my assumption is he would have named Dreadnought.
Yeah,
because you just don't want to get Dreadnoughted next turn.
There's only one. It's really hard because of this portent. Because of the portent, like the Dreadnought could just be the top card of the library. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, and it looks like he kept his hand on the strength of Limdol's Vault also, so he can go find both pieces.
So All right, and to top it off, like we can have a sweet turn where like if Aaron tries to cast anything, it gets dazed, and you get to play Limdal's Vault in one turn. It's kind of powerful. Also, Boomerang on Treetop Village is a pretty strong tempo play later in the game here.
Right. Yeah, and this is like, I don't know, this looks really bad for Aaron because like he could have a Mesmeric Fiend here or a creature to flashback to therapy, but Limdal's Vault is going to basically ignore that. He gets to put the combo on top of his library.
Yeah. Or you can just like boomerang the like Mox Diamond, that's kind of painful. All right, we're casting something. No, we're just attacking a Treetop Village.
Maybe he's going to flashback to therapy off the treetop.
Woof, but that is painful early in the game.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't work because that would just get dazed.
Like, yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. All right. So resolving Limdal's Vault is really complicated because yes. So this could take a while because you look at
shuffle your library afterwards, which is kind of weird. You just take the top 5 and set them aside. All right.
So we didn't have to go super deep. I'm really curious because neither half of the combo, to our knowledge, is present in Lorien's hand. So I'm curious as to what you would keep. Is it,
as you mentioned, he did keep 3 on top with the portent.
So maybe
it's quite likely he's got half of it in his hand.
Yeah, the hidden card is one half, and the top card is the other half. Would be my intuition about how this game is playing out as well.
Yeah, I mean, this looks really bad for Aaron. I think my thought was Aaron's gonna have a pretty hard time game 1. So this could be a Dreadnought right here, and I don't think Aaron has any main deck answers for that.
Yeah, Aaron's removal, like he's not like a rock control deck. He doesn't have like pernicious deeds. He just has some lightning bolts. All right, and Lorien's like, I call Aaron. What do you got? You got a Treetop Village. I got a Dreadnought.
They're on open deck list too, so he knows full and well that Aaron has no answers to those.
All right, so I mean, this is a powerful argument in favor of the blue-black build. Like Limdal's Vault can find the Dreadnought, whereas the blue-white build had Enlightened Tutor to find the Dreadnought, but Limdal's Vault can find like either half of the combo, whereas the blue-white Enlightened Tutor could only find Dreadnought.
I think in terms of setting up and protecting, I think in terms of setting up the combo, the blue-black deck is better at it. I think Limdal's Vault is more powerful than Enlightened Tutor. It does cost 2 mana.
But you can pitch it to Force of Will. Like that's the best argument for any card ever. Pitch to Force of Will.
Right.
All right. Aaron's gamely playing along. He's like, for action Dreadnought, bro. How about Wild Mongrel? like I mean, if that's the plan, did we really even want to like play this play this Bloodstained Mire out of our hand? I mean, I guess he's gonna try and race back. Racing 12/12s is hard, but he's got if Lorien cracks in, then that means Aaron gets to crack back for 6. That doesn't even work. Like this.
Yeah, he's got 1 attack.
Okay. No, the boomerang got discarded. So
right.
So Aaron can count on the damage that he has actually taking place. 1 attack for 16. Yeah, I'm not. If he had Gush in his deck, he could Gush his lands back to his hand.
Like maybe he can block once. Like if he plays, I don't know. I don't see any way he wins this game. But
no, I'm not seeing anything going on. I'm seeing us talking about sideboard really soon here.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think the blue-white version of Lorien's deck, I think the strength of that deck is it gets to play Meddling Mage, which
Meddling Mage is great. Yeah. That card is overperformed every time I played it in this format.
And many of your opponent's decks, you can name the only answer they have to your combo, or you can name your opponent's combo. I think just that card can be very, very strong.
And also, it had Mother of Runes, so you could have the nut combo of the curve of Mother of Runes into the combos. They can't even like remove the Dreadnought,
right?
Which came up. But yeah, right now it doesn't really matter. A 12/12 is good enough without Mother of Runes or Meddling Mage to get the job done.
Yeah, Aaron is doing some math. I can't think of any math that works here where he can maybe he can absorb some damage with some creatures so that he goes to 1 on his.
He has to absorb like 7 damage.
He's at 9.
He's at 9. I'm looking upside down. Yeah. All right. Well, he's decided that the numbers don't add up, and I'm inclined to agree with them. So, Aaron's going to be on the play for game 2. And we talked about how he can really turn this matchup around with the sideboards. Let's bring up Aaron's list and we can talk about that. So Aaron's got some. Aaron's like sideboard cards are almost all like relevant except maybe these Tormod's Crypts.
Right.
Pyroblast counters one half the combo. Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, he's got Pyroblast, Duress, and Naturalize, and so the Duress is obviously can preemptively remove pieces. Pyroblast can counter half of the combo, and Naturalize can answer a Dreadnought on board. Theoretically, another card in the sideboard, Fire Covenant, can also kill a Dreadnought. That's probably not where you want to be.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. like if that gets Force of Will, you're real sad.
Right. So I think he's got 9 great cards to bring in. 3 Pyroblast, 3 Duress, 3 Naturalize. And like the great news is I think he's got 9 cards that are really bad in this matchup to take out. He's got Lightning Bolts. He's got Dwarven Miners against basically mono islands and swamps, and Curse Scrolls, which just do basically nothing in this matchup.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like at first I wasn't sure that you'd want to bring the Duresses in because he played like 2 Cabal Therapies in our last game and like they just like weren't relevant. But I definitely think that the Duresses are more relevant than Curse Scrolls. Even though that it'll leave you in this embarrassing situation of top decking a bunch of like Duresses later in the game. That's fine. You just want to make sure your opponent doesn't do anything and then you attack them with some like rankered up like Mesmeric Fiend or something. That seems perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, and like being on the play, like Duress will be better also. The therapies were pretty embarrassing against Lowendal's Vault last game.
And the Portent, because Lorien was a smart guy and he left the piece of his combo on top of his library. Right. Whereas in this case, you could just Portent, you could Duress and take Portent on turn 1, and like take those options away. So I can see this lining up, a lot better for him games 2 and 3. I still think he's at like this technical deficit against Lorien's deck. And let's pull up Lorien's deck now and take a look at what Lorien's got to bring in. Lorien's got some relevant cards. Mainly these Hydro Blasts to fight Red Blasts and like maybe kill, some Grim Lavamancers or something. And Ghastly Demise is great. It's a cheap removal spell. There's no Fatal Push, but Ghastly Demise is A-okay. And I wouldn't change too much.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I would want to bring in the Hydro Blast because like what card is Hydro Blast better than? Because it's only going to counter a few cards.
So the Hydro Blast
probably isn't very good.
Yeah, Duress isn't that great because the only thing you want to Duress is no, you can Duress Naturalizes.
You can Duress Naturalize, yeah. So like seeing Aaron's sideboard, like maybe you're more inclined to keep your Duresses.
Yeah, maybe so. Like you definitely want these Ghastly Demises. And like these Hydro Blasts only really fight Pyroblast and they kill like Grim Lavamancer, I guess. But so this is the thing that, once again, we talk about with mono red, you didn't want to like sideboard too many reactive cards. And the same, like when you're playing a linear combo deck, the more you sideboard, the less your deck is executing its combo. So you want to apply kind of a light touch. Yeah. So I think actually these Duresses are pretty good because they check both the Naturalize and the Pyroblast. Like both of those are cards that Aaron has to like sit on until it's combo time. Right. So I think you keep the Duresses in and you bring these Ghastly Demises for, some stuff you don't like this Merchant Scroll seems a little slow.
Maybe like the blue counterspell. Like I don't know. It might be better than that, but
maybe so. But I would have a light touch with sideboarding. Like we saw, like, if Lorien's deck executes his game plan, like that's good enough. You don't need to get fancy beyond that. So we'll see how they've done it. Aaron is on the play that's going to make his Duress effects a lot better.
That's right. Yeah. And it's actually kind of, watching that game, it's kind of interesting. I assumed he probably named the Dreadnought with the therapy, but I think it's probably reasonable to argue that you could also name Limdol's Vault because it's kind of both halves of the combo.
Yeah, Limdol's Vault is like a wild card, so that makes a lot of sense. You just wild card,
Yeah.
All right.
It's like Aaron's mulliganing.
Aaron doesn't like it. So it's a little tough. Like Aaron wants both Disruption and a Clock in his opening hand and functional mana in a 3-mana deck. So that can be a little tough to ask. Fortunately for Aaron, his opponent is also mulliganing. When you're playing a deck with like 9 hand disruption spells, you always want your opponent to mulligan. It's the best, you know. Like,
Right. Yeah.
oh, mulligan into Thoughtseize feels bad, man.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron's deck is not a deck that wants to mulligan a lot, and Lorian's deck probably is a deck that has to mulligan a lot because you have to find your combo or at least ways to get it. But when you're playing against the combo deck, you kind of have to mulligan until you find a way to interact because your deck is not going to race it.
It's true.
Yeah. I feel like somebody's got to unseat Lorian though. He can't just like come in and just like win all of our leagues.
I'll just say that in a strictly hypothetical world, I would have beat him if I was playing, but I was busy. I was hurt. I was hurt, coach, and I couldn't play that game. And so, like, I would totally be crushing Lorian right now.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Lorian's deck, like just looking at it, feels like the most powerful deck in the field that we had here for the top 4. It's just a very efficient.
Yeah, it's deck. Really it's like for those of us who play Vintage, it's like Doomsday and Vintage. Like you're playing the best tutors, you're playing the best counter magic, and your combo is very compact. So you get to play like the best disruption. And the best fast mana. Like this deck is really doing it all, even though it looks like very simple on paper. Like 10 of his spells are free. No, it's like 14 free spells. He has tutors, and he has like a combo that just like goes over the top that people have to warp their decks around. These things put together for a really sleek package.
That's a lot of Lotus Petals.
Yeah.
Can we take this polluted Delta?
Take a look here.
That's an interesting choice. I mean, so basically, Aaron's choosing between cantrips. So Lorian doesn't have any of the combo yet.
All right, so he takes the gush. That means that we're getting grindy. Like that's what that indicates to me. Like we're just ready to trade resources as much as possible.
Yeah, and he must have more hand disruption in hand. It would be my thought. But.
Right, and also like it's okay to trade resources with your opponent if your opponent has a bunch of Lotus Petals. Right. Let me think about that. Like, also the other thing is like it's kind of an easy take because all the other cards were pairs. Like going from one Lotus Petal to going from 2 to 1 is kind of meaningless. Portent is pretty sweet, but yeah, I think like you're just kind of finessed into taking the gush because the other card just like it's not disruptive enough to take them.
Right.
Also, Gush is a card that's like banned in a bunch of formats, and these other cards are mostly okay to play.
Right. Lorian's shuffling, so he didn't find what he wanted with the Portent.
He probably wants another land, like or maybe not. Maybe oh wow, so this is really aggressive. He doesn't want his other Portent to get stripped, so this just tells us heavily that he's just like moving in for lands. This as Aaron, the player with a bunch of duress effects. You love to see your opponent like hemorrhage their resources like this. Ooh.
Yeah, and Lorian knows Aaron has Cabal Therapy, so if he doesn't play the other Portent, it's a free, it's a free.
Yeah, it gets sniped.
But...
All right. Oof. Well, after doing
Lorian's
a bunch
on
of
3 cards and 1 land and a Lotus Petal.
So now we're gonna get like Mesmeric Fiended. So I think that the card that Lorian most wanted to see was Limdal's Vault.
Right.
And I think he's looking for Vault real hard. Okay, and so we're coming in with the Wild Mongrel, getting aggressive.
Getting the clock out there.
Yeah, all right, so here's a land.
Didn't find the combo. But he did take basically 2 random cards, which is...
Yeah, he took a bunch of randoms. He didn't have either half of the combo. Well, yeah, I think Lorian's best draw is like Limdal's Vault, like or like Gush into Vault or something weird like that.
Right.
So this is where you want... This is your setup here. All right, are we gonna get rancorous? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we are. And we have like deck knowledge, so there's nothing other than forcing the Rancor. There's nothing that Lorian can do here, because of the like Ghastly Demise can only kill like non-black creatures. Lorian's deck doesn't have any like smothers or anything like that. So yeah, this is the plan. You've got the turn 1 disruption.
Holding up red, potentially representing Pyroblast.
Yeah.
Lorian did fetch an island, not a swamp, so probably not casting a Limdal's Vault here.
Yeah. I guess Lorien could have had like Boomerang. What are we doing? Oh, casting Impulse.
Impulse.
Which is another like one of the best cards in the middle school format. There's no Brainstorm here. So like your 1-mana cantrip really is like Portent. I think Sleight of Hand and Peak are also in this format. They're not that great. But Impulse is really good. It really is the glue that holds some of these decks together, especially when you're playing like a 2-card combo deck like Lorien's. So I'm pretty impressed by that card.
Yeah. Decent chance, Lorien just went 4 deep, and he had 2 random cards. There's a decent chance he has found the combo, but apparently not. He has now down to 2 cards in hand. He doesn't have long to live.
No.
Could attack for, he's got him on a 2-turn clock if he chooses to activate this treetop.
Yeah, if he's got another land, he can activate the treetop and leave the red mana up. And then the next turn, all right, so it's just time to get aggressive. Like, don't give your opponent time to draw out of it. Yep, and Aaron agrees. Aaron knows like the face is the place. This is coming in.
I don't know how many cards are in Aaron's hand, but I don't think it changes the clock really. I think he's on a 2-turn clock pretty much anyway. You slice this.
Yeah, it's just straight up lethal next turn. So there's no reason to like discard to the Wild Mongrel. Potentially we might get in a situation where we get to Ghastly Demise of Treetop Village. Like it's kind of rad, but I think Lorien's drawn pretty slim, especially, like, even though I can't see Aaron's face, like, I'm extremely confident that there's a Pyroblast like running around here.
Right.
Well, we might, okay, we can cast Duress. We're going to find out if Pyroblast is there. Oh, there wasn't. The Naturalize. Okay. And yeah, I agree with Aaron's play, attacking with the Treetop over playing the Fiend. Like, all right.
Oh, it looks like Lorien showed his combo and then conceded because he's still dead.
Wait, what did I miss here?
I don't know. He duressed and then revealed Vision Charm.
Oh, no, he is dead. Because Vision Charm makes the Dreadnought go away.
Oh, that's
so
right.
it can't block.
Yeah.
So it'll show up in the next turn, but,
that's right,
next turn Lorien will have been, exiled from the multiverse.
If only it was a Stifle.
Yeah. So wow. Well, that was pretty impressive, that Lorien's deck was actually so close to stabilizing there. Like it almost came together.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, interestingly, Aaron's only disruption there was a duress, but Lorien kept a hand that was just full of draw spells, and they just did not work out at all. He shuffled off both Portents, and then Aaron's clock was fast. He had a Rancor and a Wild Mongrel, so those Portents bricked, and he didn't have enough time to recover.
All right. Speaking of sweet blue-black combo decks that are really lean. We're gonna keep going down memory road here, and here's a deck that was so good that even a scrub like me could top 8 at PTQ, and it was so good that when the modern format was invented a little while later, they banned every part of this deck. Like literally every component of this deck was banned in the initial iteration of Modern. And this is the Dark Depths Thopter Sword deck from, once again, Extended, a format that no longer exists. It was a blue-black combo deck, and it was playing all the best cards. You had Thoughtseize and Dark Confidant for disruption. Your combo was Vampire Hexmage plus Dark Depths. It's important to note that Thespian Stage had not been invented yet, so that was your combo. And also, you got the back combo of Thopter Foundry plus Sword of the Meek. A little bit later, Jace the Mind Sculptor got printed, and everybody just put Jace the Mind Sculptor into the deck, because why not? Why wouldn't you do that? And as a result, this deck dominated the Extended format that it was in. And when they later got rid of Extended and made Modern, they banned Thopter Foundry, or they banned Sword of the Meek, they banned Dark Depths, and they banned Jace the Mind Sculptor. So just clue you in on like what was going on in this deck. It was great. This deck was phenomenal fun to play.
That Extended format was like, Extended went away from like the first deck that you showed, and then they brought Extended back, and that was from that second iteration of Extended.
Yeah. But yeah, so funny story, in this deck list I shared you, it has a card Beseech the Queen. I went through the PTQ not understanding how the card Beseech the Queen worked, and I won anyway because the deck was so good. So I thought Beseech the Queen would only let you tutor for CMC less than or equal to the number of swamps you controlled. But no, it's less than or equal to the number of lands. So I played a game where I had 2 Besiege the Queens in my hand and one part of the combo. I besieged the Queen for 0 because I had 0 swamps. And I went and got an Urborg. So next turn, I could besiege the Queen for 3 and kill my opponent. And after I killed my opponent, he saltily told me to read the card.
That sounds about right.
But it didn't matter. This deck was just so busted. I just casually top aided this PTQ. So
yeah. So Aaron is a friend of mine from when I grew up, and my first ever PTQ, I traveled to play Invasion Block Constructed with Aaron, who was playing this match. And I played a blue, black, green mid-range deck, which is also what I played in this league. The version I played in this league was better because I had access to a lot more sets, but it was still really bad. All right, so Lorian was on the play. Lorian did mulligan to 6, I believe. All right, starting off with a therapy. And Lorian just dazed it.
All right, well, that means he's got a Dreadnought in hand. Like
probably.
That's the only reason we're going to daze it. Like right. We have the Dreadnought.
Right.
But yeah, being on the play, it's already like making a difference here. Also, like it really doesn't matter too much because in some situations, knowing when it's safe to like tap out is incredibly meaningful. But the way Aaron's deck functions, that's not that important. Like he's not playing like counter magic or anything. So he's just going to duress or he's going to therapy. All right. So and he didn't play a land first. That's interesting. All right. What was named? I assume it was Dreadnought.
Yeah, I'm assuming Dreadnought. So he's not taking any cards here.
All right.
The fear is probably that there is, in fact, a Dreadnought.
A Dreadnought lurking on top of the library.
Important. He chose not to shuffle.
So Aaron also missed his land drop.
Yeah.
So it's all happening here. Aaron missing his land drop, throws to me a strong signal that Aaron thinks his hand is just bananas. Like he must have like a naturalize in his hand to back this up. I wouldn't keep on 6 unless
he was on 7, I think.
Oh, he's on 7?
Yeah, but he might have had 2 therapies and a mesmeric fiend, and he's on the draw.
Right.
So
well, Lorian's like, I don't really care about any of this. I care about making 12/12 creatures. So Aaron's like, miracle land naturalize. All right, there's naturalize right now. There's no way Aaron didn't keep without it.
Right.
All right, bam. All right, so this is like
he's got to gush and hope he hits a force, right?
Yeah, he's got to gush and hope he's a force. So this is really unfortunate because if this had come a turn later, then
oh my god,
hit the force. What is happening? Stacked deck, Judge, I need to see those sleeves. I need to see the sleeves.
So Aaron has to have a second naturalize. I think that's the only.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Yeah. All right, well, let's see if Lorian forgets to attack. He doesn't. Okay. So, Lotus Petal. This last card is like a daze or counterspell. Oh man, this is rough. All right, well, I mean, it doesn't matter, Aaron. Like whatever you got, you're playing it now. So you can if it's an instant, you can play it during the upkeep. It is deconcession.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I definitely thought he had the naturalize there. Lorian definitely, sacked out with Gush, but that's why Gush is a broken card. Funny story, Gush, Force of Will. These cards are free. So strange things happen to games of Magic when people don't have to pay mana for their spells.
Right. Like he tapped out for his combo, played a free spell to draw 2 cards to find the free counter spell. So that was pretty insane.
Yeah, and that goes to what I was saying. Like, he's playing like all the best cards. Like, it's very hard to beat these cards on rate. 2 mana 12/12 tramplers, free inspirations, free counter spells. You can be put into some tight spots really early in the game with this when the cards have no mana cost. Welcome to Magic the Gathering, where the mana costs are made up and the mana costs don't matter. Okay. Welcome everyone to the finals of middle school. That's right, it's not my so-called life. It's not Freaks and Geeks, it's middle school. We're taking it that far back. We've got the finals, and we've got the returning champ, Lorian, with the Mirror Universe playmat. He just did us dirty in the semis. It was sick. There's an investigation into those card peels right now, but for now, the judges are letting us stand. They're saying it's legit. So Lorian's here with blue-black Stifle Naught. He's facing down against Connor, who is on Abzan Form of the Dragon Rector Oath. So these games have a potential to be very uninteresting past a certain point. Go ahead and elaborate on that, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I think the games could be very uninteresting pretty quickly if Lorian can just turn to a Dreadnought and he doesn't have the Seal of Cleansing right off the bat to answer it. But interestingly, this Oath deck has a lot of hand disruption. He's got 4 therapies, 4 duress, and a couple of Gerard's verdicts, which we saw those cards all against the Sly deck. So he can disrupt Lorian a little bit, but I think he's going to take a while to win the game. I think his game plan is to get a Rector out and then get a Form of the Dragon.
Right.
So it will give Lorian time to maybe find the combo again. And as we saw, Lorian can stick it on top of his deck.
But it's important to note that Form of the Dragon is actually lights out for Lorian game 1.
That's true. That's true.
With Form of the Dragons in play, the Dreadnought can't attack Connor at all, and Lorian will just get domed out as Connor turns into Trogdor the Burninator, just like fire breeze all over Lorian.
Lorian does have a boomerang to answer it.
He does have a single boomerang he can tutor for with Limdwell's Vault. And then post board, we'll talk about that later. The fact that Lorian's on the play, Connor's deck is trying to play some kind of expensive spells into days. I feel like Lorian has a pretty good edge in game 1 here, especially being on the play. When both players are like swapping duresses, the guy who gets duresses first kind of has this advantage because he can choose to take duress or force the game down an attrition route. Like they're given that option, whereas the second person just has to play the game that the first person dictates. And also, Lorian has an advantage because like Connor, a goof is paying mana for spells, and Lorian's spells are all free for some reason. So we saw that was important in the last game.
Yeah, that was pretty epic end to the last game with free spells to find another free spell to protect his combo. But yeah, I mean, I feel like game 1, especially with Lorian on the play, it's going to be tough for the Oath deck. The Oath deck does have a lot of hand disruption, and Lorian's deck is probably not as good at playing the resource game as the Oath deck.
If the games go long, Lorian's deck is not prepared. He has when your deck has Lotus Petal in it, you're sending a signal that you don't want the game to go long. We're ready to put the game away right now. If Connor can force the game to go long, I think that Lorian will be disadvantaged. It's also important to note that Lorian still does nothing. Elevate Connor's deck, you can stifle the Rector trigger, which is not nothing. Also, you can stifle Seal of Cleansing or Pernicious Deed if those are being used to kill your Dreadnought.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, one of the obnoxious things about the Dreadnought deck is Vision Charm serves to protect your combo after you combo, and also is part of your combo. And Stifle in this format often is doing the same thing because of Seal of Cleansing, Deed, and some of the most popular answers to the Dreadnought in the format. So It looks like just led with a Portent and passing the turn, going to draw a card off that he kept his 3.
No, he shuffled off the Portent.
Oh, did he shuffle? Okay.
Yeah, he shuffled.
Okay.
All right, so Connor, what do you got for us? I'm sure Connor's got a duress to lead us off with, a duress type effect. City of Brass. All right, my opponent's not playing Burn. The City of Brass is looking great. we don't care. It becomes important if you get to 12 life because then you die in one swing, but I don't think he's going to deal himself 8 points of damage, in the first few turns of the game.
Yeah, and usually whether you die in one swing or 2 swings, it doesn't matter.
All right, so Lorian is basically saying, I have it.
Right. Yeah. that is what that reads to me. It reads, I have it to me.
Yeah. So. Lorian's like, you will be attacked with the 12-12 on turn 3. deal
Yeah,
with
I think the other possibility. So he did shuffle off the portent, which makes me think that maybe he needed a land to have it. But
I don't know. Like if you have the combo and you cast Portent, you're looking for Gush or Force of Will. Like almost none of your other cards do anything.
right.
But yeah, I feel like we're just put it on the table. All right, no,
No, he's got it. He's just gushing and he's gonna
just-
jam it.
what is happening here? Just the showboating, what is this? Oh, still had all these free spells. No,
Oh no, he doesn't have it. Okay.
Wow. So what?
He must have had half of it and was hoping to hit the other
so he
half.
only had half, and it wasn't Dreadnought because Dreadnought can't be taken with duress. So he has like, whoa, never mind. Never mind.
Might
Does
still
he have
it?
Wow, just paying mana for spells. It's like just okay. Never. He's passing.
He passed. He took a mana burn. Interesting. That was a confusing line to me.
Yeah,
I would have thought like, I mean, I guess he was just hoping he would hit it.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, I don't know what's going on anymore. So well, Connor's like, dodge that bullet. So
right, yeah. Yeah, I'm confused. I mean, because now he can play more hand disruption, and you just I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens here. He's hiding something. All right, so we're casting Oath. Okay. This is a relevant Magic card. Like when the Dreadnought shows up, unless it shows up and gets Vision Charmed, then we'll get to activate the Oath before the Dreadnought attacks. So man, Vision Charm. That card, like all the text on that card is coming up. All right, now we're going for it. Oh right, and we beat the Oath with the Vision Charm. So that implies that
did he just draw the Dreadnought this turn? Like I'm just so confused about last turn.
Yeah, I guess the Portent set it up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right. So balls in your court, Connor. Do you have like a Seal of Cleansing? If you have a Therapy, it's okay because you take 12, you Oath, you hit the Rector, and then you flashback to Therapy, killing the Rector, get Form of the Dragon. Hope that there's no Stifle or Boomerang on the other side of the table, and then the game is over. So there's still play on Connor's end, assuming he has Therapy. Doesn't have Therapy. There's less to talk about.
Therapy or Seal of Cleansing. Maybe I guess that Sterling Grove is good enough. Like as long as his opponent has nothing, no counter spells and no stifles.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big ask.
Right.
Cabal Pit is not it.
Well, Cabal Therapy.
Okay,
right?
Yeah. Cabal Therapy is a real Magic card. What do you name here? Like maybe Stifles. They can't stifle the Oath trigger. Boomerang.
Oh no.
No. When we Oath into the Rector, we can just they'll just Boomerang the Oath back to our hand. I think we're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this is
pretty much. He's got a lot of options of what he could Boomerang to stop anything bad from happening.
Yeah. Or like you let the Oath happen and then you Boomerang the Rector. That doesn't work because if they draw a land, they can replay Rector.
Right.
So I think you just Boomerang the Oath. And then if they draw a land and play Rector, you daze the Rector. That's it. So Miri's Gal, yeah, nobody cares about that. That implies that the game's going to take like 3 more turns or something for this card to see any real value. That's not what this game is about. Yes. All right. Lorian continues to like not forget about the attack step. Yeah, and Lorian's just like, get this Oath out of here. Get this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we have like Land Deed, or if we have like Stifle, or if we have like Seal of Cleansing, those cards play.
Right.
We do have the Miri's Guile to like try and help a brother out.
Yeah, he can't just play a Rector because of the days.
Yeah. Oh, if he has like Ancient Tomb Rector, that'll do it.
Yeah. I wonder, like, is Boomeranging the Oath the best? Because like you could just, if he does Oath, and you could just, oh no, he gets to, does the Therapy resolve before the Rector resolves? I don't know how that works.
So the Oath happens during your upkeep. So you let the Oath resolve, the Rector shows up, you Boomerang the Rector.
But then you could recast the Rector, right?
Yeah,
You could
yeah,
let the Rector trigger resolve and boomerang the form of the dragon.
yeah. I feel like, I mean, since okay, well, step one, because we have open deck lists, we can have this discussion. Let's say we didn't have open deck lists. If my opponent plays an Oath of the Druids and I have a boomerang and a creature, I'm boomeranging the Oath of Druids. Like, if we don't have
Sure.
Oath of
Yeah.
Druids, like you clearly just boomerang the Oath. I mean,
Sure.
if we
Yeah.
don't have open deck lists, like
Right.
there's just like there's no question. It's like my opponent put Oath of Druids in their deck because they're going to break the rules of the game in some stupid way. I've got to stop them. At this point, I
Most
feel
Oath
like
decks play like a Spike Weaver, which would just be a big problem.
yeah. So I feel like all roads kind of led to Rome on that one, which was 12-12 trampling guy. You're just gonna have to lean back and let this happen. So let's go to the sideboards. All right, let's talk about the Oath deck. What does the Oath deck have to bring to the table?
Yeah, so we have some more seal cleansings. I think those are obvious as they answer the.
Hey, I just learned today about this card called Null Chamber. Have you heard of that card before?
Yeah, so
can...
that does something. It does cost a lot of mana.
Yeah,
but,
it does. But if we get to turn 4, which we did not do last game, you can Null Chamber for Action Dreadnought. That's like not irrelevant. Like the Lorian's deck has no other way to win. It doesn't have any like Morphling like sideboard package or anything or Psychotog or anything. And yeah, mostly it's just like Seal of Cleansing. And Seal Cleansing is by far the best. Null Chamber is probably better than some card that's running around in his deck that's just doing like pacifism. That card has no text.
Well, it has text on Dreadnought. Dreadnought
it
can
does.
attack.
It doesn't. I mean, like, it just doesn't work. Like they always like wave the Dreadnought out or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I guess you could. I mean, pacifism is probably better than some of these other cards, but yeah. So more Seal of Cleansings and Null Breach, and maybe an Enlightened Tutor. So it's really hard to go on an Enlightened Tutor package when your opponent has counter magic, because you tutor something up and you go down a card. That's how the Enlightened Tutor cycle works. And then if it gets countered, you just like 2-for-1 yourself. But since Lorian's deck is 2-for-1ing itself to execute its game plan, I think that's a fine exchange to make.
Yeah, but I think you just have to go get Seal of Cleansing because it's like Hand Disruption and Seal of Cleansing are your only game.
All right, so now we go over to Lorian's side. Lorian's side has an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, but I mean, as we talked about it, he can't really bring in that many cards without messing up his own plan.
Yeah, he can't, but he has like a lot of relevant cards. He has a null, so he can just like counter Oath of Druids for 1 blue mana, or any number of other cards.
Yeah, Seal of Cleansing.
Seal of Cleansing or Pernicious Deed. It has this Rushing River, which is just so. It's important to note that if you bring in the Hydroblast and just Hydroblast the form of the dragon, that's actually it. Like, Connor's deck doesn't have an alternate way to win besides like attacking with Rectors. So like having this Hydroblast is not irrelevant because like A, you can't beat the card form of the dragon if it's in play, and B, by blowing up all the form dragons, you can actually just attrition Connor's deck out of win conditions. Then he has to like replenish them back. Like, so it's not an irrelevant card. Ghastly Demise is nothing. Crypt can fizzle Rector and can stop replenish. So it has marginal value, kind of the same as Hydroblast. It actually might be better because it's free. We just talked about how paying mana for spells is kind of for chumps. And like the Tormod's Crypt can stop a lot of things.
I mean, I think the annuls are strictly better than his counter spells, or I mean, maybe not strictly better, but I think they're probably better in this matchup than counter spell.
Yeah, so we'll be curious to see like how Lorian sideboards. You don't sideboard too much because then your deck doesn't work in this linear combo. But like he has a bunch of cards that are all relevant. Like potentially 9 of his sideboard cards could be relevant in this match. Like I can't imagine you bring them all in. But yeah, he has a lot of cards that are winners here. I have to say I still I think that Lauren's just gonna run it back and make us all look like chumps. What's your prediction?
Sure. Yeah, that's also my prediction. I thought that this matchup would heavily favor Lorian, and game 1 kind of looked like how I expected. Sideboard games might be a little more interesting because or especially being on the play, being able to cast your duress first is valuable. But I think it's going to be rough for the Oath deck. They can't close out the game quickly, and Lorien has potential ways to answer your game plan. So it's going to be tough. Yeah, Lorien's taking a mulligan. Not sure. I think the Oath player's keeping their hand.
All right.
But we've seen Lorien take plenty of mulligans and just play turn 2 12-12s, and
Right.
it's fine.
Yeah, so it's important to mention that we're playing middle school, but we are using the most recent mulligan rules. So that really helps out these 2-card combo decks, because you can just put both of the pieces of the combo in your hand with your mulligan. So it kind of encourages you to be aggressive.
Right.
All right.
So.
Yeah, we're leading on duress. You can't daze this. Are you going to force the will? Oh, he's not. This time we're not going to force will the duress. Because we have a kind of mopey hand of not much.
Yeah, lots of interaction and not a lot of combo.
Yeah. So what's your take here?
I think I'm taking the Portent and just hope that Lorien bricks on land. It kind of depends on what's in my hand, so maybe I want to take the duress.
So I'm inclined to agree. All not knowing Connor's hand, you take the Portent. Okay, when my opponent mulligans, I'm actually pretty usually okay with swapping duresses. You just want to make as many trades and leave them with as few resources. But Connor thinks he's got something special in hand. Maybe it's like a Seal of Cleansing. You can play it next turn and get the 2-for-1.
Yeah.
And Lorien kind of has to find a land. If he doesn't have to find a land, he's just going to not be doing anything. So clearly there's a land there. Otherwise we'd be shuffling 100%. We'd be shuffling.
Okay. Unless he drew a land, I guess. For the
right. Yeah, you're right. The mystery card could have been a land.
Oh, therapy's pretty good here. Pretty much have to force this, right? So you don't just lose 2 forces.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. So wait, if you think that force is going to be named, if you force pitching force, you lose 1 life. So you just let him have it. No. Okay. Well, apparently, maybe one of those mystery cards is a big deal. Or maybe you're
just protecting your impulse.
Yeah. If your opponent just names impulse and you don't have either half of the combo, then you're just literally doing nothing for a bunch of turns. Right. So yeah.
No white mana. I was thinking maybe a way to trigger to cast another therapy is to Funeral Pyre yourself to flash it.
All back. Right. Yeah. So there's that annul.
Yeah.
Get wrecked, Oath. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think all the annuls came in, but I don't know about anything other than that.
You would think that if you brought in 1 annul, you're probably bringing in a second annul before you bring in a Hydroblast. So.
Yeah, I would think so. This deck is all the cards I have that beat your combo are enchantments. Seal of Cleansing or Deed. So the only thing you're actually countering that's not them, or at early turns of the game you might counter Hand Disruption, and then there's Academy Rector, but yeah, whatever. You got Stifles for Academy Rector. We got everything. Going into the tank.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that if it was the other half of his combo, it's a pretty he's just going to go for it here, but he might be thinking about if he wants to try to protect.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the way Lorien has played is just go for it when you have it. And especially when you know that your opponent's deck has 10 hand disruption spells, holding it in your hand just doesn't get you anywhere. So
right. Yeah. So his impulse is probably which of these ways the best way for me to find the card.
All right. Whoa, Portent. Okay.
We're gonna. I
Yeah.
guess
Well,
he's technically not supposed to see those cards, right?
yeah. This is supposed to be a secret. So unfortunate. Yeah, that kind of wrecks how the card's supposed to work. But whatever, the players will figure it out. We're mostly playing for pride here. So nobody lose their shit or anything. And yeah, if I'm Lorien and I see these cards, you just go land, enlighten tutor, and I mean that's pretty good. You know your opponent.
Well, but did Lorien just tell him to shuffle that? Because that's very confusing to me.
Well, maybe he said, "Hey, you weren't supposed to see those shuffle up," but
Maybe,
I can't imagine like not wanting to have my opponent's next two draw steps be lands here.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Although I don't know. Yeah, I'm confused.
Well, we'll find out.
Maybe he just doesn't want his opponent to draw a white source.
Maybe.
It does seem like he told him to shuffle.
Okay, well, we're missing something. All right. Well, yeah, he's afraid of a white source. I mean, the fact that Connor isn't making any plays does imply that he needs white mana. So maybe his hands a bunch of like Seal of Cleansings and Academy Rectors.
Well, and I mean, the only cards Lorien's scared of are white cards, right?
Like Pernicious Deed, I guess.
Yeah.
Oath of Druids could be relevant. All right, Duress, what's going on?
Oh.
All right, yeah, a whole bunch of nothing. So I'm going to mention that because there's so many Duresses running around, Lorien might want to side out some number of Lotus Petals because it's the games will get into this attritional state. And like if you're getting Duressed, these Lotus Petals aren't that exciting. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough because I also think like you want to execute your plan quickly in the matchup because the longer the game goes, the worse it is for you. But he's got 17 lands, I think, plus 4 Lotus Petals. But like I certainly can see the argument for cutting some. But I don't know how many you can cut before you just like don't have enough mana sources.
All right, Gerard's verdict. So oof. Yeah. Wish we had these Lotus Petals.
Pretty bad now. So
yeah. Like your opponent's got a bunch of lands, so you just keep. All right, Vision Charm. So yeah, this is really the plan from the Oath perspective. Your opponent needs to draw like 2 cards in a row to actually do anything meaningful.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by the Portent targeting his opponent when he didn't have his combo. I would have thought he would have just tried to find it.
Yeah,
but I guess he was like just trying on this plan of keep his opponent off white.
So now we're like going to get lights out. We're gonna go get like the Seal of Cleansing, and now it's like a 3-card combo. You need the Dreadnought, the Stifler, the Charm, and then another Stifler or Charm to like protect yourself from Seal of Cleansing.
Right.
So this is kind of like the stranglehold, like we're the Python is slowly constricting us out. Or do we go get?
Oh no,
Null Chamber?
I mean, his opponent has Boomerang though, so
I don't know about that one. Yeah, it's like not just that, like they can just like name Oath or like Rector or something.
Maybe he has
that...
a therapy for the Boomerang, and that's the only answer to this.
But... Yeah, I feel like I feel like just getting like Seal of Cleansing would probably be better, but we'll see what happens. Null Chamber coming back. Who needs to pay 2 mana for Meddling Maid? This is like 4 mana enchantment. Seriously, guys.
That your opponent also gets to name something?
Yeah. But Meddling Maid is a creature, like. Right.
Is this another Gerard's verdict? 2 mana. Oh, Sterling Grove.
Sterling Grove. All right. Okay. So there's no boomerangs on the Null Chamber. So that's relevant. That's a thing. All right. In turn, Lindell's Vault. All right. This is how we do it. We can't even go get Gush because we don't have 2 islands. But we can totally like look for the combo, try and get something going on. Or even like a null, so we can just like annul the like null chamber. Ooh, say that fast. Annul null chamber.
Yeah, I mean the Sterling Grove also represents a seal of cleansing, which isn't great for Lorien.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure what he's looking to set up here, but it seems hard to think of a way to set up to win this game. You probably have to answer the null chamber and find a combo with extra protection.
All right, so I'm just gonna throw out here from my years of Magic experience. Whenever I play these sweet like combo decks that people can bring in a bunch of disruption for, like a bunch of disenchant effects, for example, I'm really huge on having like a sideboard juke. So just imagine if Lorien's deck had like 2 morphlings in its sideboard or something like that.
Phyrexian Negator, maybe.
Yeah, Phyrexian Negator, that would be great. Like you could really get people if you had something like that going on. Like Phyrexian Negator is actually really good. It's cheap. You've got all this free counter magic. So you could just like, duress and then like play this Negator and just like kind of clock them out.
Right. Yeah, I think the old Tricks decks, a lot of them use that sideboard plan.
So I would just mention that now. And like Negator would make these Lotus Petals really good. Because you could just like turn 1 Phyrexian Negator. And your opponent's like, well, I've got this disenchant effect. And you're like, take 5.
Yeah, I mean, your opponent is playing Oath of Druids though, so I'm not sure how good that is.
Yeah, our deck's already packed with counter. Like our deck is fundamentally about playing a creature, So we're already Oath is already like gonna be good against us executing our game plan. So I think it would be better to have like a threat in play, so that's something I would consider in deck construction, would be have like some sort of sideboard creature juke to like help in these situations. So when your opponent is like duressing you and you're like, I've got a Phyrexian Negator, haha, can't duress that, attack for 5.
Yeah, looks like Lorien did what we said, which is find it a null for the null chamber.
Oh no! All right, null chamber showed up. Yeah, the game gets a little wonky at this point. I'm sure. So like we can't. So yeah, we just named Dreadnought. Like with open deck lists, we know that Lorien's deck has no other way to win.
Yeah, he's got a Boomerang, and he needs like a Boomerang and a Rushing River, which is a card in the sideboard he probably didn't bring in.
I don't think that he did. So I feel like you name Dreadnought, and then eventually you will win the game some way. Like no matter what. Well, if you name Dreadnought and Lorien names Academy Rector, then the game takes a really long time, as you have to draw your form of dragon and play it, have it not get countered.
Right.
Yeah, this is weird, man. This is weird. Yeah.
I really hope that this is not how I wanted this game to play out. Where we're going to be watching them for a very, very long time.
Like I don't think either deck is doing anything relevant for a long time.
Yeah. I don't think either player can I don't think Lorien can concede, because I think he does have a way to win the game by decking his opponent.
Yeah. Who's cast more like top of the deck tutors?
I mean, Lorien's drawn more cards for sure.
He's played like Impulse and Portent. Yeah. So I think Lorien will deck out first. Right. So I think that the onus is on Lorien to find something to do. I'm just not sure what that something would be.
Yeah.
Because if I were Lorien, I would not have brought in the Rushing River, like, to be honest. Yeah. This Sterling Grove into null chamber, aka card that everybody learned existed like today, was not something that was on there. So maybe Lorien is just gonna PK himself with this Limtel's Vault. He's like, I don't like this game anymore. I'm going into the vault.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be looking for something, so he found it, whatever it is. I just can't imagine what it is.
All right, yeah, I'm curious as well. What Lorien's drawing to at this point. But I have no doubt that what he's going to do is pass, because he's just like not going to do anything. Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's this Pernicious Deed. Like I don't know what's going to happen here. Like
I think we're going to sit here for a while.
Yeah, like
eventually
hey, so I know that we like there was no disrespect to Dustin, but there was a little bit of a celebrating when Stasis did not make the top 4, because this is precisely the situation we wanted to avoid. Players sitting around doing nothing, locked out of the game. But here we are watching Stasis anyway.
Yeah. I'm assuming that he's just going to name Boomerang if this resolves.
Yeah, you just name Boomerang, and then I just feel like Lorien can't win the game.
Right.
So what was Dreadnought and Rector are the 2 cards names?
Yeah, they wrote it down for us.
So
he's gonna Boomerang the Grove in response, so he can try to counter it now.
If the Pyre is still in Connor's deck, he can still trigger the Oath.
Right.
You don't need like all 3, but he might have like 1 or 2 left in his deck, and he can Pyre and give Lorien a guy to trigger Oath. And we'll see how he's sideboarded.
Yeah. I mean, Lorien must have, I was going to say he has to have the Rushing River in his deck. And I would have named Rushing River after the conversation we just had.
Yeah, with open deck lists, you know what's up. The only out is Boomerang into Rushing River or something like that.
Right.
So you just get those out of here, and then Lorien will just deck out. Lorien will deck out of the game. All right, so we missed.
But he can just redeploy the Sterling Grove, right?
Yeah, especially you redeploy the Sterling Grove. In response, Lorien sacks both Lotus Petals, Rushing Rivers the Null Chamber, then rips Dreadnought off the top, and then dies to Pernicious Deed. So,
yeah. I mean, he can get out of the hard lock, I think, because he can bounce the Null Chamber and disrupt it out.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good play. He's going to blow up the Lotus Petals.
Okay.
So he can just redeploy this.
Yeah, this is smart. So now it just doesn't matter. This is it. Some Phyrexian Negators.
Does this cost double white or single white?
Nah, okay. It's a single white, and Lorien has seen enough. The chamber does nothing, and Null Chamber just continues to dominate. Clearly, we misbuilt all our decks by not putting Null Chamber into it. I'm sorry, Stasis. There's a new boss in town of enchantments, and it's Null Chamber.
Stasis was the lone undefeated deck in the Swiss, but then this Rector deck did take it down in the top 8. So
we're going to Game 3. Lorien will just steamroll the way he has been. The Rector deck continues to surprise us with some ins and outs. We saw some pretty tight plays from both players there. And in this game, however, Lorien's going to be on the play. The Rector deck takes a couple of turns to get going, as we saw. So I'm still going to keep calling it for Lorien. I just feel like his deck has the moves.
Yeah. Being on the play, I think, makes a big difference. He can daze a duress or duress a duress, which is usually enough to protect his turn 2 combo if he has it. I feel like Lorien's favored, but the Rector deck keeps pulling out tricks, and it has Enlightened Tutors to find some of those, and he's found ways to win these games and lock his opponents out of Plague Magic. So.
All right, we're going to keep going down memory lane here while the shuffling is taking place. Speaking of blue decks with sweet combos, because that's how I like them, here's the deck that got me onto the Pro Tour. That one time I sacked out, faced a bunch of favorable matches at the PTQ. This is a red, white, and blue deck, and it is doing all the Jeskai stuff. This is the modern format. You had all these lightning bolts and snapcasters, and you're killing all the creatures and laughing all the way to the bank. The problem is these decks took forever to win, and you would lose to stuff like Tron, or you would just give these other decks too long to get back into the game. So I played red, white, and blue with Restoration Kiki Jiki, and I definitely got some people at that PTQ. One Merfolk player was playing around Wrath of God the whole time, and he could have killed me if he just like completely committed to the board, but he didn't. And then I was like, EOT, Resto, my turn, Kiki Jiki, because your deck has no removals, so he just died to Infinite Angels. I definitely wouldn't recommend you play this in Modern now, but it was good enough for like 7 years ago.
I think Birthing Pod was legal when that deck was legal.
It was. So I totally wasn't lying. I mean, I felt like my deck was actually good against Birthing Pod because I had this combo in my deck, and Birthing Pod didn't play a lot of removal. But my matchups on the day, I played against Infect twice and Merfolk 3 times. And when your deck is Snapcasters and Lightning Bolts, like this is what you signed up for. And then later on, I played against Jund, which I beat. I played against Affinity, and then I drew in. I'd also like to mention at this PTQ, I'm looking at the list of other players who are there. And in third or fourth place, there's some guy, Timothy Thomason. What a scrub. Like, who is this guy, All right, here we go. Getting ready for some Magic. Ooh.
Lorien kept 7.
Lorien kept 7. So Lorien's been pretty disciplined with his mulligans. So if he's keeping 7, that implies to me that we're going to be seeing something really soon. He's going to like duress, into the combo, or he's got the combo with like counter magic. But I can't imagine that Lorien's just going to like, I'll just keep lands and spells. That seems good enough to me. This is definitely not the sort of deck you can do that with.
Yeah, I mean, he might have half of it with like a Porton or a Lendl's Vault.
I'd keep that. But yeah, like this mulligans the mulligans kind of hurt the Rector deck. Well, the Rector deck has more expensive spells. It has 3 colors, so you could just be stranded out of a color. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, but he also has to find a way to, just like we said in the semifinals, when you're playing against Lorien's deck, like you have to find a way to interact with it. I mean, if you don't have a way to interact with it, your hand may be able to cast its spells, but it's not going to do anything. It's actually going to 5, so. Looking more and more likely that Lorien's going to back-to-back take down our middle school leagues. Proving that he can play islands and mountains and win either way.
Just does it all, It slices, it dices, makes French fries 3 different ways.
But we have another league coming up in a week, so if you haven't started thinking about what you want to play in that, you should definitely think about it and register for the next league. I spend too much time thinking about it, and I have 15 decks built, and I'm not going to play any of those. I don't even
understand why we're thinking about it. It's pretty obvious. The answer is Dreadnought. Like, you just go into the tank, think about a bunch of janky brews, and then attack with 12/12s. It's like we've seen Dreadnought like do very well in multiple iterations. And not only that, the Hayden who played Blue-White Dreadnought like 3 leagues ago said that he regretted not playing Blue-White Dreadnought in subsequent leagues. I was like, I top 8 with some other deck, but that deck wasn't really as good as Blue-White Dreadnought, and I should have just played Dreadnought. So, maybe we're just hemorrhaging value, not attacking with 12/12s.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are decks that have good matchups against it. It does. Go ahead.
I mean, for one, I don't know if anybody this league played Landstill, but I feel like Landstill has a good matchup because you have Swords of Plowshares and your own free counter spells. And like your sideboard is super good. You have like extra disenchants and like meddling mages. And like the card Standstill is very good against like combo decks that have to just like shove for it on one turn. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Landstill actually would have done really well this league because the card Oath of Druids was like overrepresented. Multiple decks were running around with Oath, and I felt like Landstill would have done well against those decks in this Dreadnought deck. Against Blue-White Dreadnought, Landstill eliminated Blue-White Dreadnought in the top 8 of that league. So, But that's just me. You probably shouldn't listen to me because if you ask me what deck to play, I'm probably going to tell you, oh yeah, blue-white control doesn't lose. So, make of that what you will.
All right, so you've got a duress. I'm assuming you probably are taking. Well, I don't know. This is interesting.
What's the green card?
It's an Oath of Druids and
Okay,
a Sterling Grove. Like the Sterling Grove can go get an answer to Dread. And that kind of depends on what your hand is.
Yeah, if you have a counter spell, then the Sterling Grove is fine. Because you just counter that thing and let your opponent 2-for-1 themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah. But the Oath, like, woo, man, Lorien is just so aggressive. Looking at Connor's hand as Lorien, like you have a lot of time. Like this hand is not going to be doing anything for a while, but Lorien doesn't care. He's laundry is down the street and needs to go pick it up. He's hearing the DoorDash guy tapping, but he doesn't. He just wants the game to be over.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like he doesn't want to let his opponent draw things that do stop him.
I mean, that's definitely true. Like it's green light right now, but Connor's hand is so weak. I might have been inclined to take a slower approach to the game. But maybe that's why I'm not, in top 8 and I'm just this washed guy doing commentary. So there's always that.
Yeah. I mean, we know that you want to play the blue-white control deck, so you're always going to take the slower path.
All right. So yeah, we just go, we can't be dazed. Woo, man.
Can't be forced.
Wow. Like I feel like
seems like you force whatever you get off of
that, or if you think there's a null chamber, you just force the null chamber. So Lorien is just be like, really aggressive here. He's 2-for-1 himself twice to kind of like be on the same level as Connor's mulligan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand why you force the Sterling Grove.
Yeah, I'm not really down with that either. Like, other than Lorien's just like horribly gun shy after getting locked out by Sterling Grove in the last game.
Right.
All right, so now we're gonna cast Enlightened Tutor. Yoop. All right, what do we go get? Do we just play it safe and get Seal Cleansing, which seems fine by me. Like, our opponent is Lorien's just used a Force of Will, so now if it seems like the coast is more likely to be clear for Seal Cleansing.
Right. Yeah, that's my assumption as well, is that you just go get Seal Cleansing. But maybe he's going for Null Chamber.
Yeah, joke's on you. It's Null Chamber time.
No, he's going for Oath.
Oath. Okay.
It's a surprising choice to me.
All right.
Because like Lorien knows what happens with Oath, right? Like a form of the dragon comes out. So like he's not gonna play into that line in a way that he loses.
Yeah. Like especially it's really unfortunate because the way like Vision Charm interacts with Oath, where you just like wave your guy out and they don't get to trigger the Oath, is spectacularly brutal. And Lorien's just gonna draw some lands here, so yeah, nothing to see here, citizens. Yeah, I don't know. If I were Lorien, I'd really wish I still had this Gush in my hand. But
I don't think he exiled a Gush. I think he exiled a Portent.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, draw go. Soon we're gonna be hard casting Gush. That's fine. 5 mana, draw 2 cards.
How many cards are in? Do we know how many cards are in the Oath player's hand? Like they're both on pretty low resources.
Not many. Like one or I think it's like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Like Enlightened Tutor plus Mox Diamond plus Mulda 5.
Yeah.
But no one's really doing anything.
Yeah, that's fine. Soon that will just not be relevant. Yeah, the chat is pointing out, even though we didn't see it game 2, but if the Pyre card is still in Connor's deck, suddenly he could force the action like out of left field.
That's true, yeah.
All right, do we play a second Oath?
He did, yeah. We had a second Oath.
All right. Well, so Boomerang on Oath is like off the table.
You can Rushing River them both back by stacking a land.
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, obviously
But
the answer is like hibernation or something like that.
hibernation only bounces creatures, I think.
I thought it was all green permanents.
I could be wrong. It could be all green permanents.
Turn all green permanents to their owner's hand.
Oh, okay. There you go.
All right, so we're casting this Cabal Therapy. All right, yeah, Lauren. This is what happens. You sometimes play the 2-card Monty. You draw like all cards that don't do anything. All right, whatever. It's time to move in.
2 vision charms to blank the oath, so like maybe he's got it
lethal.
here.
This is lethal.
Yeah.
If we don't have anything special to do, then Dreadnought is coming in.
Yeah. What a rip.
Yeah, I mean that was the problem with the Oath line, was that the vision charm just kind of blanked Oath.
Yeah, I don't understand why it was Oath and not Seal, but you've got to phase back in your Dreadnought.
All right.
Vision charm it again. Yeah.
Vision charm again. And now, like, Connor has to draw like a Seal of Cleansing or Pernicious Deed or Academy Rector. Academy Rector is perfectly reasonable here, but Connor needs like a big draw.
Yeah, and he needs that last card not to be a counterspell.
Yeah, it would have to be exactly the card counterspell, like
right.
depending. But Connor just has a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, so Crows and Reclamation, like the 1-up card to keep himself from decking if he oaths too many times.
All right. Well, I think a powerful message was sent here today, and the message is that Lorian's the champ. It's
Lorian can win with creatures or combos. He wins with it all.
Yeah. So good hustle. We're gonna have to get together Texas and huddle up, because we didn't have any Texas in the finals. So we're gonna have to do better. These are some sweet games, some sweet decks. Like Connor's deck is definitely like Form of the Dragon. I'm always happy to see that get play. And Lorian, like, just proving that super efficient spells and super efficient combos. It's really hard to compete with that. Like just on every axis, Lorian's deck is kind of doing it all. And it's really putting you in a big squeeze really early in the game.
Yeah, it's a very powerful combo deck with very good protection and free spells to find what it needs and protect.
All right. Back-to-back champ. Any thoughts on what you want to play next time? Or anything exciting about any of the decks you saw tonight? I was definitely excited. I thought Connor's deck was very cool. It's actually interesting to note we saw Connor's deck play multiple games, and he never executed his combo at any point. He just would lock people out with weird enchantments.
People would eventually concede.
So maybe his real combo was like Pillow Fort. He would just like hide behind a bunch of enchantments and just like brick out his opponent's deck. Because we never saw Rector or Form of the Dragon get played in our games, which was disappointing for me anyway.
No, I think Connor's deck was the spiciest deck in the top 8. Obviously, it's like doing some pretty interesting stuff. He's got a lot of ways to interact with a lot of different things through all these various enchantments he has, especially in his sideboard. He's got like a lot of silver bullets. But the top 8 had 8 different decks. And I think that's pretty cool, and I think that's pretty representative of what happens in this format. People play a very wide variety of stuff, and I think there are a lot of viable decks. I think probably there's probably a tendency for people, and myself included, to like want to play a deck that you think is cool when Dreadnought might be better, but I think the best decks in the format have answers. Like I think Landfill is a pillar, and Oath is a pillar, and Dreadnought's probably a pillar of the combo side.
Yeah, Dreadnought is actually a very good deck, but when your combo involves artifact creatures, there's no color in Magic that cannot remove either artifacts or creatures.
Right.
So if people want to be prepared to beat Dreadnought, like they definitely can. But just the thing is, the way the Dreadnought deck is constructed, it gives you like a very small window to do that. They have free counter spells and duresses. Their combo only costs 2 mana. So it's like very easy for them to like, just shove, on turn 2 in the game and then daze your naturalize and get you. So, a really sweet deck for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at lots of different decks. I have too much fun like building decks and revisiting old decks in the format. So I was like browsing like extended decks from 2001 yesterday, and amazing to me like the variety and jankiness of some of like the Pro Tour decks in that era.
Yeah, I mentioned with my blue black reanimator deck, there's like 4 vampiric tutors were legal in this format, and people were attacking with jackal pups. So it's really much more wild westy. Like there wasn't as much coverage, so like the decks were a lot looser. So this is kind of a different time.
I think I looked at a Sly list that had 10 mountains and ball lightning, which I thought was pretty ambitious.
Indeed. I think like the biggest limiter, as we agreed on making like janky brews, was the mana base. Like you're like, if I could cast like these 3 cards together, it'd be great. And then you look at the mana base and you really just can't like put all of those cards together in the same deck and expect your deck to like do anything during the match. So that's like a big deal. Like once again, we'll just go back to how great Lorien's deck is. I'm sure everyone's tired of talking about it, but he's playing 2 colors. His mana base was seamless. The only deck with the better mana base was either the Slide deck or the Stasis deck. But Lorien's deck just like wasn't doing anything too fancy, and all the pieces just kind of fell into place there. So props to him.
Yeah. Well, it was a good league, and I'm excited about the next one in a week. And I've got a week, I guess, to figure out what I'm going to play. But I'm definitely excited for the next one.
All right. Well, I'm like, I'll probably come out of retirement and come in here and get beat. Just to remind everybody what it's like. The old dudes get into the wrestling match. The old dudes leave and go to the infirmary. But we just gotta remind everybody that. All right, that's it. Everybody, be good to another, be safe, and we'll see y'all again when we have more sweet middle school or vintage or whatever type of Magic we stream next. Thank you very much.